there, you are listening to In the Books, a podcast where we discuss on-screen adaptations of our favorite books. I'm Michelle. You can find me at Musings on Instagram.
And I'm Rita. You can find me at Annoying Rita on Instagram. And you're listening to episode 2 of our ongoing series of podcasts about the BBC and Hulu production of Normal People, originally a novel by Sally Rooney. Let us begin as usual with a recap of the episode. Notice I'm not saying overly long because it's really, it's quite short for me. I'm just saying.
Okay. Marianne nervously applies makeup and then rubs it off again. She dresses and then walks over to Connell's house. He answers the door and offers her a cup of tea. Marianne sits on Connell's bed drinking her tea and observes he has a lot of posters on his wall. She doesn't. Connell cracks a joke about her being too cool for that kind of thing, and Marianne goes on another self-deprecating diatribe about what people think of her. By contrast, everyone likes Connell. Marianne thinks it's because he is shy, and unlike herself, he never gives an opinion about anything.
True.
He explains that he doesn't know what he thinks most of the time and can only really pinpoint emotions after the fact. That makes knowing what he wants somewhat problematic. Mariana asks, "What about now?" And they begin to kiss and take their clothes off.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Yeah. After some giggling as they struggle to take Marianne's bra off, she asks if he does this a lot. You know, go over to girls' houses and seduce them. Connell points out that she was the one doing most of the seducing, and they began to kiss again. After some foreplay, Mariana asks Connell for a condom. We love safe sex at In the Books. And this week's podcast is brought to you by our sponsor at Durex. Just kidding.
I wish.
Just kidding. Connell asks if it's her first time, and she tells him it is. So Connell explains that she can withdraw her consent at any time if she feels uncomfortable, and they begin to make love.
Oh, Connell, you king amongst men. Okay, so on Monday at school, Connell arrives only to be jeered at by his friends. He looks panicked. They found out he had a free house at the weekend and are appalled that he didn't use it as an opportunity for a house party. They ask him what he did instead. Connell's eyes follow Marianne as she enters the school, and he stutters something about studying. Not very convincing, actually.
Yeah.
He spends his lesson sneaking looks at her, and after school he heads to her house so they can have more sex. Unrelated, but I really like her bed sheets. If anyone can get me some links to something similar, I am at Annoying Rita on Instagram. I would like those sheets. Okay. Post-coital, Marianne and Connell lie in bed, and Marianne tells him about the time she watched him play football last episode, and she admits that as she was watching him play, she thought about how much she wanted to watch him have sex. And, not with her, just like with anybody. She asks him if that's weird, and he sort of giggles and tells her that's really weird. But he understands her. They begin to kiss again, as Imogen Heap's Hide and Seek plays in the background. Iconic. It's time for a montage. We see Connell and Marianne walking down the school hallways, sharing secret looks, interspersed with them having sex in a car. It's more romantic than it sounds, okay?
Yeah, that's for sure, especially for the size of car that they're in.
Oh my god, the logistics scare me.
Yeah. We cut to Marianne and Connell sitting on a semi-deserted beach. I assume Connell made sure to do a quick safety sweep before allowing himself to sit beside her. Marianne tells him Karen asks her to help sell raffle tickets to make money for the Debs. She is going to be at a nightclub with all his friends and assumes it will be weird for him. He shrugs it off and says the whole Debs thing is a joke anyway. She knows, Connell, but she still wants to go with you.
Read the room, Connell.
Hint, hint.
Then.
Connell is driving his idiot friends around town after school, and they are ribbing him about Rachel's obvious crush on him. They are aware that women think Connell's silence belies hidden depth and emotion, Connell tells Rob he should maybe give the silent technique a go himself. A nice little burn.
It was good.
While waiting for the other guys outside of the chip shop, Rob asks about his mom working at the Sheridan's house. Connell immediately tenses but tries to play off the connection. Rob asks if he has ever been into the mansion, and Connell admits he has, but when it comes to Marianne, he pretends not to see much of her. Not satisfied, Rob asks if she treats him like her butler, which makes Connell even more visibly uncomfortable. Luckily for him, they are interrupted by the arrival of their friends.
And chips. Huzzah.
Mm-hmm.
We again cut to post-coital Marianne and Connell. It's all they're doing, basically. Marianne asks him if he has a crush on anyone at school. Someone's heard the Rachel rumours, and he laughs and tells her it's kind of a weird conversation to have when he's literally still inside her. Yep.
Yeah.
She asks about Rachel again. She is pretty and she likes him after all. He says he, quote, doesn't have strong feelings about it, either way. Which kind of could be his autobiography at this point, like Connell. Come on. Later, Myriad is reading on his bed. She looks up and sees Connell deep in thought. She asks him what he's thinking about, and he tells her he's thinking about college. He doesn't know why, but he put down law. He can't see himself as a lawyer. She tells him to study English at Trinity with her. Connell says she would probably pretend not to know him there. She looks hurt and tells him she would never pretend not to know him. The elephant in the room says hi, by the way, and it's like, it's got Connell, you idiot, stamped on its forehead. Connell says he'll apply. Quote, who gives a fuck about a job anyways? That's the spirit.
Cut to Marianne completing her own application in her bedroom. She goes downstairs and puts the kettle on and tells her mother that she is almost done and will submit it tonight. Her mother asks for help picking out tiles for the family's flat in Dublin. After all, when Marianne is at Trinity, she will be the one looking at them. The two begin to bond ever so slightly about Marianne going to her mother's alma mater, and Alan, who is sitting in the corner of the room brooding, ruins their moment by storming out to the pub. Speaking of the pub, that's where Connell is with his friends. Rachel is flirting with him intently, and when Marianne texts and asks what he is up to, he ignores her.
Red flag.
Yes. Monday at school, his friends are discussing who they want to take to Deb's when Marianne walks past. Eric notices Connell looking at her and jokingly asks her to Deb's with him, and she shuts him down. When he asks if she thinks she's too good for him, she doubles down and tells him that she is too good for him. Eric, humiliated in front of his laughing friends, calls her an ugly, flat-chested bitch. Connell says nothing, and she walks away hurt.
Gigantic red flag.
Yeah.
Just the biggest red flag. The meme of that man with the gigantic red flag running across. Connell goes to meet Marianne at her house as usual after school, and they discuss his weekend. He went to the pub, but got home early. Apparently a few of his friends ended up at the Ghost. Marianne is like, what the fuck is that? Can you explain? Apparently, the town has an abandoned house called the Ghost House that the teens like to hang out at. She asks him to take her. They arrive at a random house ruin, and as Marianne surveys the ground, she tells Connell that she would lie down on the ground and let him do anything to her, which he says makes him feel uncomfortable. Fair enough. And yet, the point seems to completely go over his head because he doesn't understand when she tells him she isn't making him feel anything. It's like she's speaking a different language.
Yeah.
She suggests leaving him alone completely. Confused, dumb that he is, Connell's like, well, I would be a bit surprised because it seems like you like it. Like,
yeah,
just what every girl longs to hear.
Yeah.
He sees that she looks hurt and apologizes and admits he doesn't actually know what to say after stumbling around for a while. He finally coughs up and, if you didn't want to see me anymore, I'd be upset. Now that you ask about it, I wouldn't be happy, all right. Which is just like the bare minimum. The bare minimum. But Marianne has little to no self-worth at the moment, and she'll take it. She asks if he thinks she is ugly and flat-chested, and he tells her that Eric doesn't even think that himself. Like, he just thinks she looks down on him. So he's trying to hurt her. He tells her he would miss her. And they go back to Marianne's house to have more sex. Just toxic.
Oh, God. Oh.
Okay, so what did you think of the second episode?
Well, just like we talked about last week, it is definitely not an episode that you want to watch while you're riding a bus or a train or anything where there would be people around you because, oof.
I told you it wasn't safe for work.
No, not safe for work at all.
So much nudity.
Yes. I thought that the second episode was amazing. And, I know we spent some time last week talking about the fact that they had an intimacy coordinator on this show. And I really think that it should be a law that they have an intimacy coordinator on every single show going forward. It was almost painfully intimate. I felt like, I was like, I shouldn't be watching this because this is way too deep. And but
if you're not a little bit in pain, you're not watching normal people.
But yeah, I mean, it was brilliantly done. I really enjoyed it a great deal. How about you?
I like this episode a lot, despite the horrific pain that is underlying a lot of the scenes towards the end. I think when I think about the show, a lot of what I remember is from the second episode because I think especially the intimacy stuff is just so integral to what I think the show does that other shows don't. And yeah, that sweet pain is pretty much what I take away from this show. The weird mixture of like, oh, they're so sweet and oh, this hurts.
Yes.
So do you have that kind of emotional investment yet? Because I know it's like
hell yes. You kidding me? I'm all up in this bitch.
It's only been 30 minutes and we're already like, oh my God, I'm being stabbed in the heart. How is this happening?
I mean, that is one thing. The fact that these episodes are only 30 minutes long and they pack so much in to that 30 minutes and you're not ready for it to come to an end. Yeah, nothing is over.
But it always ends at this perfect time when you're like, okay, now I have to sit in this emotion uncomfortably.
Yes. I love this story. And, you're probably patting yourself on the back.
Yeah.
Because
I think I just have a good sense of what you enjoy now. So I'm like, yeah, you'll like this.
Yeah. Because, you were talking about, oh, you have to watch it, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. Well, I'm in it now. So, yeah.
But you're in the worst version. What I regret is that you're going to have to watch one episode a week because, everyone else got to binge it. I mean, I couldn't binge it. I was watching 1 or 2 episodes a day when it came out because I found it too intense. I can't imagine being like, it's just too painful to watch. Yeah. But then also dragging it out is weird.
Oh, God. It's kind of murder. So,
yeah, it's really painful. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. I will probably watch the episode, tomorrow, when I get up, for the first time, of course.
Have you started the book yet?
I'm hanging my head in shame.
You should.
But I will do so tomorrow. I am going to be running around doing a bunch of errands And so I'll have a perfect opportunity to dive into the audiobook and let you know what I think next week.
I realized I'm kind of a psychopath because I have the hard book. I have the paperback because I prefer the paperback.
Okay.
I bought the hardbook originally because, you know, that's what it comes out in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I don't like reading it in the hardbook. That's my excuse. Okay, so I have the hardbook, I have the paperback. I accidentally bought the French version of the audiobook, and now I have the audiobook. So Sally Rooney has had my money 4 times.
Yes, I was going to say, she is able to put your little coin in her piggy bank, and she thanks you for them.
She's having lots of coffees on me.
Yes.
So yeah, I was listening to the audiobook for the first time, and I really, really like the performer? No, the narrator. That's the word, the narrator. Mm-hmm. She's really quite good, you know.
Oh, great.
So I think you'll like it.
Okay.
It's not like somebody cringy, though she does a quite funny Connell voice. It's like deep. Yeah. So if anyone wants to read along with us, this episode covers pages 9 to 28 of the novel, or chapters 3 and 4 of the audiobook. So we're really doing about 1 or 2 chapters an episode.
Yep.
It's not that far. You don't have to worry, Michelle. You will be caught up.
Oh, yeah, I'll be caught up.
Okay.
All right.
So, no spoilies for the book. Connell and Marianne. Instead of talking about plot points, we're just going to talk about people. Yeah. Connell and Marianne and the sex.
And the sex. And the sex and the more sex. And the sexy sex and sex. You know, I was thinking to myself, oh, God, to be that young again.
I would not want to be that young again.
Oh,
I mean, maybe with Connell. Yeah,
because, dear Lord, he's handsome. I mean, I thought he was handsome last week, and not just because of the whole sexy time stuff for this episode. It's just, he has a face
he
that...
smiles a lot more.
Yeah, he has a face that really just kind of grows on you and evolves, and... You know, it's a good face. He got good face. Mm-hmm.
He should play like maybe Marlon Brando. Maybe if they ever made a Marlon Brando biopic, I feel like he has the Marlon Brando body type.
Who do you think he should play in a Jane Austen adaptation?
Oh my God! Well, he would make a fantastic Wentworth. Just because...
Oh, yes.
He has that kind of, I've been to the sea face.
Yes.
He doesn't have aristocratic face, I am afraid to tell him.
No, I mean, he's got a rugged face, and it's really quite striking.
Who would we cast as his Anne? That's the question. Why are we fan casting things?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Sorry, it just popped into my head. But I think it's probably
but now
because
that I've thought of that possibility, I'm like, do we commission this? How do we get this made?
I think that, like I said, having the intimacy coordinator on this set, I think really made a massive difference in how this could have been portrayed.
Hugely.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was the sexy time.
Yeah, I think like the first time I watched this, I was like, it felt like revolutionary to me because I've never seen anybody attempt so much realism on the screen on a TV show. But then, like, okay, when I was growing up, it was like the boom of those weird sex thrillers that were really popular in the 80s and 90s, like Fatal Attraction and Basic Instinct. Like, the sex was for, like, really glossy, and the emphasis was on eroticism. But there was absolutely none of that in this. That's kind of weird, hypersexualized fakeness is what I assume sex scenes should be.
Yeah.
But then you watch this and it's completely different. Yeah. It's just, the tone is so not erotic. It's very, you feel like a voyeur.
Yes.
But not in a fun way.
Yes.
In an, oh my God, why am I up in their face? I should be out of this room.
I shouldn't be watching this.
No, I feel weird.
And it was I shouldn't be watching this, but not because it's like too sexy.
Yeah.
Because it was something that was happening between the two of them. And I was like, I shouldn't be here.
It feels like third wheeling on.
Oh my Lord, yes.
But then I think what also made it great was like there was like lots of pauses for conversation, which you literally never like. Not to call out Bridgerton, but as soon as the sexy time happens, nobody's
like,
talking.
Nobody's
it's
talking.
a montage.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and the music comes on, and so like the fact that they would like stop midway through, or like they were fumbling to get her undressed, and they stop, and Connell goes to get a condom. Like in retrospect, it's like not really much of a sex scene so much as it's just a scene that has sex in. Like all of the other stuff going on is almost more important, like that they're connecting emotionally, and the sex is just sort of another avenue of them connecting. Yeah,
I mean, I am, I'm an old lady now, and it's been a long time since I was that age. But I'll say after watching the show, I'll say I had some fond memories.
Oh, yeah.
Of my own experiences.
Nostalgia hits.
Yes. And it's like, oh, gosh, I remember that. And just how awkward and just
the
bizarre,
weird, awful feelings mixing with
like
the
all
happy
of that.
feelings.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and that's why adolescence is so confusing, because your emotions are all muddled. Like, you can't just be straightforwardly happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So.
Okay, speaking of Connell and his zero ability to pinpoint his own emotions, let alone express them.
Dude, you gotta work on that, man. If you want to survive on this planet, you really gotta work on that.
I have to say that it's so incredibly fucking frustrating to watch as an adult. Because you encounter so many of these men, especially as a teenager. But I'm almost like in awe that he is self-aware enough to pinpoint this as a problem. Like, oh my God, even that feels like a miracle.
Well, I think if they didn't give him the ability to be able to pinpoint all of this stuff, he would be absolutely insufferable.
Yes. Oh my God, it's his one saving grace that he knows he's fucking up. He doesn't know how he's fucking up, but he knows he's fucking up.
Yes.
And I think it's like very typical, because society tries to suppress any semblance of an emotion out of men. Just smother those feelings down, men. Don't you dare show them.
Stiff upper lip.
So of course, they don't know how to process feelings. So of course Connell doesn't. And Connell's just a product of that kind of environment. So, give him a little bit of a pass. But, oh my God, he needs to just escape that town if he wants to have any sort of emotional growth. Because every time he remotely feels anything, he's like, nope, 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 smother.
Get that away. Get it away.
And that is excellently on display with the dynamic with his friends. How did you feel about that scene?
Which scene? With his friends? Because there were a couple.
Oh, yeah, there were many. But I think the worst one was definitely with Eric, when Eric calls her a flat-chested bitch. And, you just see his face fall, but he says absolutely nothing.
Yep.
It's like...
I was like, Connell, I know you're trying to keep all this on the down low, but you like this girl. You like her very, very much. And for you to just sit there and not do or say anything I mean, he could have said something. Like Eric,
even if he wasn't in love with her, it's still problematic for him to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna let my friend be a misogynistic piece of shit to this girl that's done absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, dude, you could say, Eric, stop being a prat. Although, or whatever the word is, in Ireland.
In Ireland, it would probably be like Egypt.
Yeah, an Egypt. But yeah, he could say that just because he's a decent guy. And, but, he's too afraid of what his friends, how people are going to react if he makes any kind of indication that Marianne means more to him than, just another classmate.
Letting a lot of shit slide.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I don't know, there's no excuse for it to me. Like,
yeah.
The way she looked at him in that moment, like begging for him to say something, and he just didn't.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, Connell, to be honest. If I was in her situation, I would never talk to him again.
Yeah.
But what I like about this is the complexity of the situation. The show, in a lot of shows, they would have just made his friends outright douchebags.
Yeah.
But they've done a good job of, like, humanizing them. And obviously, they're not sympathetic, but you understand that Eric was lashing out because his pride was hurt. I don't think anyone actually thinks Eric thinks she's a flat-chested bitch. And I agree with Connell that, he doesn't think she's ugly. And I think if we're going to give Connell slack for being a product of his environment, then you've got to understand that Eric and Rob as well are also formed by, like, this just deeply misogynistic, thoughtlessness treatment of women where they're just objects and they go to the pub and they banter about who they sleep with, and just shit like that is just so normalized across the world. Across the world, that's what men are supposed to do.
Yeah. So
it's like, I don't like making excuses for them because I think it's shitty what they're doing. But, if we give Connell any slack, we've got to do the same for his stupid friends.
His stupid friends, yeah.
Stupid friends. Okay.
Well, one thing that we can say is we know he likes her because he is basically saying, oh, I don't want a law degree. I'm going to do English and I'm going to go to school with you.
A rare time when this is a good idea, I think. Usually I'm like, should you make a life decision based on a relationship when you're 17?
Seriously.
Actually, he's 18 because he can drive. Okay, he's 18, but don't do that. But for
18?
now, I think,
18 is the driving age?
Yeah, we're not like America. We don't just let 15-year-olds out on the road. That's crazy. I don't understand. They're not mature enough to drive.
Oh, God.
Actually, 18-year-olds aren't either. But
yeah.
A rare time where I thought this was actually good and a great demonstration of how, Connell doesn't know himself very well, but I think Marianne does know him, and she's like, you should study English. Come on, it's obvious.
It's clear that's what you enjoy. It's what you enjoy, and it's what he'll be good at.
Yeah.
But, it was pretty funny how he just, on a dime was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. I love that his first instinct is like, oh, yeah, but you won't talk to me in college.
I know, right? And it's like, dude, pot calling kettle black, okay? It's like...
so she would never do that.
No, she wouldn't do that.
She's obsessed with you.
Yeah, you're the one that's doing that, okay? You have a track record of doing that. So, oh my God, these two kids.
I love Connell, but man, he really tried it this episode. I was ready to come in through the screen and smack him over the head. Think. Really enjoyed Marianne this episode. Yeah. I want to talk about the relationship with her mother because I enjoyed seeing a little bit more of that.
Yeah, me too.
Her mother is just... She's another person who's more nuanced than she initially appeared.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, she's incredibly cold, but she was having quite a nice moment with her daughter. Like, hey, and bonding over Trinity and the shared experiences they'll have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may not be a perfect relationship, but there is something there that is being ruined by the Alan in the room.
Oh, my God. Alan, you dick. Alan is a massive tool.
Captain Fraser would never.
No, he would never.
He's just got this face on him, like, where he looks like he's about to break out into rage at any moment.
Yeah.
And it's really scary to think that his mother seems to just always bow down to his authority. It's even the small things. Marianne came in the room and she was like, hey, I'm making tea. Do you want some? The mother immediately turns to Alan and goes, Alan, do you want tea? She doesn't think about herself. Immediately, it's like about what Alan wants.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's just a great display of like what that family dynamic is. And it's completely fucked. And it's all Alan's fault. Go away, Alan.
Yeah, I don't understand what this, because he seems like he's got this massive chip on his shoulder. And, you know, I'm wondering kind of, okay, how did that get there and why are you being such a butt?
You will find out in episode 3.
Oh, joy. Okay, well, at least that'll be clarified for me. Oh, yeah.
So, favorite performances?
And I loved the scene when they're at the beach. I had some flashbacks of Demelza and Hugh for a moment. But I was like, no, not the dunes, not the dunes.
I went and visited that beach instead of the dunes and was like, this is a terrible place to have sex.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Everyone can see you. Like,
I know, right? Oh, gosh.
In the show, I thought there was more secluded, but it's really like right in the middle of the. Yeah. Anyway, we've gone off topic for people who haven't watched Poldark.
Yes.
Like, who are these people?
Anyhow, I liked the way that scene was shot. I thought was really lovely.
Are you looking at favorite scenes? With favorite performance?
Oh, performances. Oh dear. Okay, performances. Oh
God, that's a knife through the heart. You have to pick.
Oh.
Pick a person.
Oh God, I have to pick between the two of them?
Yes.
Oh.
Favorite performance is not both of them together.
Oh.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll go.
Pick a child.
I will
Sophie's
go,
choice.
I will go with Marianne in that scene.
Yes. Okay, so agreed.
Yeah.
I am picking Daisy Edgar Jones, and I know I picked her last week, but I really think that she is underappreciated in this role.
Yeah. She's extraordinary.
The bravery it takes to present her body on screen like that. I know that, you know, nudity has been normalized for women on screen, but I think we should recognize that it's not easy for any woman to do, and there are repercussions for it usually. So
yeah,
that was amazing. But I also think just her acting is,
you
know, the scene where Connell asks her if she would ignore him at uni. Perfect.
Yes.
So amazing. You know what she's thinking immediately. Like her whole entire face and body crumples. She's serving emotions. She's serving vulnerability. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you got Connell giving you pretty much nothing at this point. Don't worry, that will turn. But I think of the two of them,
Marianne
she's
for sure.
allowed to be more vulnerable at this
Absolutely.
point.
I mean, she's just laying her heart out on the, like she said, I would lay down here and let you do anything. She is just laying it out for us.
When she said that, I immediately knew what she meant. But
Me
Connell
too.
looked confused as fuck. Confused as fuck. He was like, wait, do you literally mean that? She's not being, well, she is probably being literal, but she's talking about emotionally.
Yeah. But yeah.
And he's like, I'm uncomfortable.
Yes.
This has been really like me slagging off Connell. I love you, Connell, baby, but no.
Oh, God.
So your favourite scenes were like at the beach?
Yep, loved the beach scene. I think, I mean, the photography, the colors that were chosen for their costumes really played well against the kind of stormy-ish sea.
Yeah.
I thought that was beautiful. And the scene at the ghost house.
The weather was very confusing though, because when he arrived it was raining and suddenly it was like, it's a sunny day. I'm very confused. I couldn't keep up with the weather.
Yeah. How about
my
you?
My favourite scene, I'm going to cheat and you say that it's the Imogen Heap hide and seek montage, because it lives just rent-free in my head. I think every time I see that, I get tingles. It captures like the mood and emotions of that relationship perfectly. Like the sneaky looks, the slow-mo, the naughties classic bop, just perfect. And when I think about the show, the shot of them walking down the hallway and looking at each other, like that's lodged in there as like a moment.
Yeah.
Like visually perfect. And I love their little uniforms.
Oh, they're adorable.
Speaking of costumes, hair and makeup, I'm going to give an honourable mention to the little plait Marianne wears to school, because it literally makes her look about 12 years old. And then she takes the plait out and then she's like a 20-something-year-old woman.
Yes.
It's like bizarre.
No, I think that they've done a great job in having the clothing, using the clothing to help fit the scene, to spark with photography. It's like we don't have, tons and tons and tons of various different costumes to comment about, but they're using them to their fullest effect, and it's working for me. I loved the scene where she's trying to put on makeup and she finally is like, fuck it, I'm just take this off. I keeping
That's
her
directly from the book. When I saw
awesome
it the first time, I was like,
yeah.
There's that line where she's like, she considers putting on makeup and decides that I think she says like it would be humiliating to wear makeup for this.
Yeah.
So she takes it off.
Yeah. I just love how they are keeping Marianne fresh-faced and no facade. She has no facade.
She laid bare.
Yeah.
Emotionally and with makeup.
So yeah. I love it.
I loved the outfit she chose to wear to his house. It was like layers upon layers, layers just for days, and it struck me as such a perfect, I didn't really think this through outfit. When she says that line, I was like, yes. 100% an outfit a virgin would wear for a booty call. Just did not think it through. She looked cute.
Yeah. But, it is definitely, it's definitely not something that's easy to get out of.
No. Oh, honey. I was also thinking that period of time, we were all about layers. We were wearing tanks upon tanks, T-shirts upon tanks. It was just, I don't know what was going on with us. We were just layering for days.
Oh.
Locations and photography.
Yeah.
I mean, the photography.
Yeah. Just.
The lighting, I know you mentioned the lighting last week, but I thought was amazing.
Yes.
Especially during the sex scene, because I was like, how do you light daylight to be natural, but also like flattering? Because that's artificial. Everything looks so real.
Yeah, they did such an exquisite job of creating the atmosphere that helped to make us feel like we were watching something that we shouldn't be. You know,
crept into his bedroom.
Yeah, and we're like in the closet, peeking through the crack in the door. You know, yeah, just
Speaking of,
they're
I
brilliant.
love his bedroom. By the way, it's so small. It feels. That's like part of it. Whenever they're in his bedroom, it feels like such an enclosed space.
Yes, very much
like
so.
They're in their little cocoon.
Yeah, her room is much more open, and you know, there's lots of air to breathe and that kind of thing. But
and there's no posters because she doesn't really live there.
No, she's too cool for that kind of thing.
I just think that she doesn't have posters, doesn't feel comfortable there. Like that's my theory. Like that whole house is like too pristine to be tainted by posters. Meanwhile, Connell looks like he's really lived in his room. Like, that's where he does all his reading. There's posters on the wall. You can see pictures of his friends. Like it feels like a bedroom for a teenager. Yeah. Marianne's feels like a bedroom of like a single 40-year-old who drinks wine.
That's hilarious.
I really want to go to that beach as well, by the way.
Yeah.
In Sligo. Like,
yeah.
It looks like a tiny strip of land. Like, oh my God. In the books, if we ever get sponsored, we're spending that money and going on a beach trip.
That sounds like a good plan to me. Sign me up.
You can donate to... You can donate. We have a Buy Us a Coffee page.
Buy us a coffee.
Let's get us to Ireland. Was there anything you didn't like about the episode?
No.
I know. I think this may be flawless.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Yeah. Well, it's getting 5.
Yeah, but actually I've got one flaw. Not enough Lorraine. Where was she? Where was she?
She was giving her son space so he could get his groove on. Chicka wow wow.
Do you think she conveniently left that for the weekend? You seem to be hanging around Marianne a lot. I'm just gonna give you some free time.
Oh Lord.
I also love that he was like, "No, we're not having sex at your house."
Yeah.
For the first time, and then immediately starts going.
Oh yeah.
After school. My logic is not there, really.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Clearly, it's too good to pass up.
Okay. Communist manifestos out of 5. You've already gone
5.
in with 5.
5.
Just a 5. 5.
It's a 5.
I'm giving it a 4.5 because I need some wiggle room for next week's episode, which is arguably better. It's just
seriously.
It's just better. I know. You're like, how can it get better than this?
I don't know, man.
But it can get better.
Oh.
It can. They've been building it up, and they've been building it up, and now they're going to stab you in the heart over and over again.
How many episodes is this show again?
It's 12.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, okay. I'll go 4.5 as well, just to hold back a little bit to be able to bring it forward.
What I struggle with sometimes, and I think this is why we change the scoring system every time, is that I want to score it a 5 because I think it's as good as some of the other things we scored a 5.
Mm-hmm.
But this show can do better.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's why we have individual scoring systems.
Yes.
Comparing it to itself and not to other things.
Yes. There you go. There you go.
Okay. Inbox time. Hello, ladies. I was surprised to hear of the show's success last week, especially since the most promotion I got for it was from your Instagram page this past month. But then again, 2020 was a special year.
Oh, so special.
I must say, going into this, I was not expecting to get so triggered. Oh yeah. Not only by the pressure of the decision-making to, quote, find what you're going to be for the rest of your life, end quote, when you're not even 18 yet, but also the high school mentality in general. There is a point in everyone's life where, as a society, we put so much power on teenage boys, and we're doing so during those years when our development is still so fragile. That's why I want to sympathise with Connell for not standing up to his friends for name-calling Marianne, but I cannot. If you're old enough to know what's wrong, you're old enough to do something about it. Having been a rather opinionated girl in school in 2011 myself, and had committed the unforgivable crime of having an interest in predominantly male-dominated sport, I know what it's like to constantly be called a bitch and whore and have any lovely words they can find to insult your physical appearance thrown at you. So no, not giving an opinion about anything is not good enough, but perhaps Marianne is a better person since she seems to forgive him. Or potentially more problematic. I don't know, I've not finished the book nor the series yet. Anyway, can't wait to hear your views next week. Appreciate you both, KK.
Oh, thanks, KK.
And who hasn't been called those things by a man who doesn't really know you well enough to say whether you're a whore or not?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh.
Being a woman is awful.
Yeah. It sure can be. Okay, next letter. Hi, girls. Morgana here. I missed writing to you guys. I confess I didn't write last week because I was happy and thought, you're so happy, why go watch normal people? Don't do it, girl. Don't do it. I convinced myself that I could just listen to the podcast, but of course, as soon as I finished listening to you, I went straight to watching episode 2, especially after the information that Michelle was abducted by aliens in 2022, and in subsequent years to not watch the drama of discomfort, aka normal people. Yes, I know. I'm the one. I'm going
to Photoshop your face on an alien, like...
I watched it in 2020, still in Brazil, after all the award nominations came out. I wanted to know what the hype was. I binge-watched all the episodes in one night. I read the book, which I hated. Yes, I know. I also thought it was strange. I rewatched the series, convinced my twin sister to watch it. I needed to work out with someone else the feelings that this series brought to me. So I hid from her that it was a drama, after all, in the middle of the pandemic with my grandmother in the ICU fighting COVID. Only comedies were allowed in my house. Oof.
Brutal thing to do to someone you love, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't force this on anyone other than Michelle.
Oh, God. My twin sister loved the series because it is this thing that generates so much discomfort and questions. She loved the book and hated me for the punch in the stomach that gets worse with each episode. I found it interesting that you highlighted the red flags in the first episode regarding Connell wanting to hide their relationship at school. It's definitely your maturity, girls. Congrats! Oh, I finally learned.
Or is it just too much experience?
Yes,
like I feel like I relate to Marianne too much.
Exactly. Because I was 25 years old at the time, and I thought it was so natural and not at all problematic. At the time, I understood the need for neurotics and people pleasing to want to keep the relationship as secret as possible. Because that way, he wouldn't have to deal with other people's opinions when he isn't even sure of his own yet. I identified a lot with Connell at the beginning because I think in this episode, we see what a good person he is. He's a guy who has the difficult conversation during sex, making sure that she doesn't feel like she needs to submit to something just because she initiated. How good he is in not exposing her by telling his friends about her sexually, even without naming her, or when he doesn't make fun of his girlfriends. Not small things that even for an adult man today seem like a miracle to achieve. Imagine for a teenager.
Oh my God, the bar is on the floor.
The
floor. Doesn't tell his friends about fucking you.
Yeah. However, I think my discomfort in this episode came from realizing how deeply he can fuck with a person he likes while always trying to be the nice guy, the good guy. After all, he always makes it clear what he can afford and what he cannot. He doesn't impose anything on her. He always asks first, and she agrees. But Marianne is a conversation for the next episodes. Technically, everything is done with the consent of both parties, but technicalities don't stop his neuroses to fuck her up.
Exactly.
His actions confuse her. She's not sure what he feels. She thinks it's easy for him to pretend he doesn't lick the floor she walks on. Whew. It's very difficult for him to see her clashes with her friends and having to pretend he doesn't care. And he doesn't realize how much he's screwing with her. Already low self-esteem, low sense of self-esteem, by making her verbally agree to receive less than the minimum from the person she's having sex with. My English from 3 years ago didn't pick up the Irish accent when his friend called her a bitch. Fuck! What do you mean you can eat me, but you can't open your mouth to defend me when your best friend calls me a bitch in front of you? Not liking confrontation is one thing. Hiding from them is quite another. I think for me, the lesson I learned from this episode was that even if you are a good person, even if you read and learn about other realities to learn how to live in society without being a scumbag, even if you are a feminist, if you don't get psychological treatment, you'll fuck the person you love the most in an attempt to please everybody. Sorry,
ding, ding, ding.
But not sorry for the long email, because it is always long. I'm dying to know your opinion on this episode. P.S. And don't, Rita, I didn't do much
many
comments about the 10-minute sex scene. I'll leave you girls. I am a prude. Till the next, love, Morgana. Oh, Morgana. Oh.
That was such a good email, Morgana. And I think you've nailed the nail on the head. Is that the expression? It's too early for idioms at this point. Okay.
But yeah, I
think it's like a perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah, she just nailed everything.
It's like, yeah.
Tens across the board, girl.
You're still fucking up. You can be a good person and fuck up. And I think that's one thing they don't tell you when you're a teenager. It's like, yeah, you can be ultimately good and still hurt people. That's just life. Oh man. This is a depressing podcast. Okay, next. Sorry, Rita and Michelle. I'm guessing the intimacy coordinator must have been busy this episode.
Just a touch.
They gave out Emmys for intimacy coordinators, which they should. Because they give them out for everything else.
Yeah.
They should have given one to her. She did the damn thing.
Yeah, she did.
Okay, continue. Glad Connell kept asking her if she was okay, obviously. But the thing that struck me was how nervous Connell appeared to be. It felt like he was genuinely excited to be with her. He was giddy at times. It was being with her that makes him actually feel real feelings, although he wouldn't admit that out loud. According to the book, he doesn't really enjoy sex with other girls and seems to dissociate from the act, but this relationship, or whatever it is, with Marianne seems to be reaching part of his heart and maybe his soul. So to see his genuine pleasure is quite lovely. Tingles, hot, how do you explain that emoji?
Oh, it's the three heart smiley face emoji. Yeah.
Just confusing emoji. So many variations of hearts and smiles.
Yes.
I think the music score is doing really well to highlight the tenderness and almost naivety of this relationship. Albeit with haunting undertones, I think.
Yup.
I'm still struggling to see these scenes when the boys at school are so awful to Marianne. I mean, what better way to impress a girl than say derogatory things about her appearance and socially isolate her? Boys haven't changed much, really, since I was a teenager. My daughters confirmed this for me, too. Shocked emoji face. But poor Marianne, as smart and intelligent as she is, in all this, school and her family life, is truly killing her spirit. Breaks my heart. I did like that she challenged Connell in the last scene about his feelings for her. She is stretching him emotionally. Well, trying to. And he's getting there by admitting he would be really upset if she didn't want to be with him. Oh gosh, that still kills me.
I know.
When he said, like, I wouldn't like it. I was like, Connell, maybe you're well read. Maybe use different
Use your words.
Use your words, honey. I like that they ended with holding hands. If only he could push himself to do that in public, then that would really show growth from boy to man. On a positive note, it was nice to see Marianne's mother actually being nice to her, talking about moving away to university, reminiscing on how she enjoyed it. Alan, obviously jealous. I want to know more about this family dynamic because I'm not getting good vibes about Alan, Captain Fraser here. By the way, I'm enjoying the book too. Ciao, Maria. Okay. Thank you, Maria.
Thanks, Maria. Oh.
You will find out about Alan, unfortunately.
In the next episode, although you would never know it by the description, episode 3, Connell betrays Marianne by making a cowardly choice. Oh, how surprising. Marianne withdraws from school, causing Connell intense guilt.
Connell's about to fuck up.
Oh, boy. If you are reading the novel along with the episodes, then please read pages 29 to 57. Or if you are listening to the audiobook, that is chapter 5 and 6.
So very manageable.
Yeah.
I love that for us.
I will be doing both.
Yay. Well, you can't listen and read the audiobook while you're doing chores.
Right. I'm going to watch the show and do the audiobook. Yes.
Okay. My warning for episode 3. Tissues.
Oh, dear.
Maybe some booze.
Oh.
Maybe some booze.
Okay.
I would say don't watch it in the morning, Michelle.
Okay.
You might want to drink. You might.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very intense.
Okay.
Connell fucks up on a level that is truly devastating.
Oh,
okay.
God. Okay.
That's all from this episode. Hopefully that would that entices people to watch. They're probably like, fuck this, I don't need this in January? And we're all just trying to get by. We'll be back next week discussing episode 3. If you want to get involved in the podcast, then please email us at inbooksnetwork@gmail.com. We highly encourage it. The emails are always sensational. Honestly, smarter than me. So, do you want to do the podcast? Maybe. We're on Insta. So please follow if you want fun bonus content and updates on the podcast. If you enjoyed the pod, please rate, review, and tell your friends. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.